Today we have a practically tube-themed episode, friends. After all, I have on my table the beloved integrated amplifier Sansui, cherished by old-school audiophiles. This is a pure Japanese model rated at 110, released back in 1989. By the way, there were 2 years left until the collapse of the USSR, but that is a completely different story. So be sure to give a thumbs up, subscribe, and leave comments. I would be extremely grateful to you. Just think about it. We are reviewing an unusual hi-fi device and it has the exciting label Extra. Apparently, it should inspire additional respect among stereo enthusiasts. Marketers were already being clever back then. The model we have is not the top one. Since the early 80s, there have been 3 amplifiers from Hosaku Kikuchi. It was this engineer who founded a transformer manufacturing company in Tokyo in 1944 and named it Sansui, which means mountain and water in Russian. So, the 607 was produced specifically for the domestic market, while our models 707 and 907 were made accordingly. By the design of the clever engineers, this very device is the ticket to the world of hi-fi stereo. 707 represents a more serious level, while 907 is the highest category, which in theory should transport lovers of rice vodka into a world of dragons and luxurious geishas. Honestly, I haven't tested the 9, but I would take a peek into this world, even if just for a short while. By the way, if you want me to talk more in detail about the history of the brand, so to speak, to delve into all its nuances, just let me know. It's all real, especially for you. I will make such a video. Overall, it's a decent entry-level model. 18 kilograms netta, 6 ohms at 105 watts, and 90 watts at 8 ohms. The harmonic distortion factor is impressive at 0.003 at 8 ohms, and the damping factor is 150. By today's standards, 150 is quite low. Personally, I prefer devices with a damping factor of 500 plus or minus. In my opinion, this has a more honest, correct, quick, and somewhat pure sound. What do you think, friends? Please write in the comments what you think about this. Relatively not power-hungry considering its size, it consumes an average of 250 watts. Considering that in Russia we pay an average of 5 rubles per kilowatt, while in England, as far as I know, it is 10 times more expensive. Correct me if I'm wrong, we can afford to turn it on and listen to music day and night, unlike the residents of foggy Albion. I read that the feature of this device is the electrolytic capacitors. They were specifically designed for large power transformers. Actually, our hero has a powerful transformer inside, which we will now see and examine its size. Dual mono is also available, which makes the sound more precise and cohesive. In general, I recommend that you choose either monoblocks or integrated amplifiers with dual mono, because there will be less interference and overall the sound is denser, so to speak, and the decay pauses are more transparent. Let's take a look at the design, friends. First of all, the 3-dimensional Sansui logo. It somewhat reminds me of a Formula 1 emblem. It's quite interesting. This panel seems to be metallic, but I'm not sure. I would need to clarify. However, I won't be chewing on it. The power button is quite robust and serious. But again, it's made of plastic, and when you press it, there's absolutely no feeling of power. By the way, here are the amusing A-B speaker switches that have practically always accompanied equipment from the past. If we switch it to off, it's completely unclear what this is for. Well, it simply won't work, in theory. There is a headphone output, and you can also adjust the equalizer, tone control, bass, treble balance, and these interesting buttons in the Sansui style, which are elongated and plastic, labeled tone and loudness. By the way, you can see the coveted inscription, the so-called LAPT non-magnetic. What does this mean, friends? Please write it in the comments. I would be extremely grateful to you. Volume control. Look at it. It's so huge, practically in the middle of the device, and it adds such extra power. Is it fundamental or something? But when you turn it, I don't really feel any particular thrill. And buttons for selecting the source accordingly. CD line, tuner, phono preamp, tape, and so on. Also, these buttons allow you to use it as an amplifier, just as a power amplifier. There is a muting button, and here we have source direct, power amp direct, and for recording. In the old days, friends, there weren't many carriers, so the recording function and all those various intricacies during recording were extremely popular. Now you can download almost any composition and enjoy the sound. In the past, cassettes and vinyl records were passed around, recorded, and re-recorded. It was, in general, quite a cultural story. What can I say? When I was little, I had a Rive music center, and I was constantly re-recording something. Again, catching interesting recordings on the radio and recording them onto cassettes. Those were the days. And now, please, Q Boost, Idle, anything you want. And torrents are still around. I forgot my screwdriver. So I will hide this kind of thing. It's ordinary, old school. What can you do? Manual labor involves fine motor skills. As you understand, it develops them. Therefore, you should constantly give your body some new, activities. That's why, friends, try to engage in some kinds of sports. Learning something new helps to create additional neural connections in the brain, and strangely enough, this benefits you in everyday life because your mind starts to work better, more ideas come to you, and overall, you become more refined. Therefore, it is never too late to engage in physical culture. I am a person who has practically 3 higher education degrees. The 2 main ones, and the first one is actually the Institute, which is now, I believe, a University of Physical Culture, Sports, and Tourism master's degree. Well, I got a bit carried away. When you see such vintage amplifiers, something from the past immediately comes to mind, some memories. Oh, these guys from the land of the rising sun have really messed things up with the washers and bolts, although maybe this was already done. The device is for sale, so if you want to buy it, just contact me. It's in fully working condition, and the price is small, something around 40,000 rubles. I think it might even be cheaper. I haven't unscrewed it yet. Need to take a look. Well, just write if anyone needs it. No problem, we'll sell it. Here it is, the last one left. So, friends, what do we have here? Let's set it aside carefully. What do we see? Here it is, the praised transformer from Sansui, shaped like a snake. Look how big it is. I would like to remind you that the company initially started developing high-quality transformers because there was a serious problem with this in the mid-1940s. 2 high-quality radiators, no active cooling, 2 serious capacitors like these with the label Gold Cycle, each rated for 12,000, and efficient components. In total, we have approximately 24. That's basically it. It is as simple as that, yet indeed effective in sound. Well, here are the small capacitors. As you can see, pay attention to the fact that the section is separated. Listen, it's well made. It's clear that it's not new anymore. But it works, and works quite well. Although personally, I don't quite like the sound. I want to draw your attention, friends, to the back part, because there we have the speaker connection terminals hidden. They are of quite good quality. I like this approach when there is free space to easily insert either banana plugs or spade connectors. By the way, in my opinion, you can't connect spades here, only bananas. They inspire respect. You want to touch them, you want to feel them. Unfortunately, at the back, you can see that there wasn't enough gold plating. That's why we have regular terminals. There are no unbalanced connections, and accordingly, we don't have balanced connections. The phono preamp is on board, and you can also use it as an amplifier. There's nothing supernatural about it. And of course, this is again that Japanese feature, a non-removable power cord. I hate it when amplifiers have a non-removable power cord. Even Acoface, which is quite serious, has been guilty of such things. Now you will start writing in the comments, scolding me. What power cord? It doesn't affect anything. The last meter of wire, friends, it matters, believe me, it affects me. If you can't hear it, that's your problem. But I believe it makes a difference. By the way, I just moved it to the side and discovered some interesting things here. I don't know, do you have anything like that on your side? Here we have the circuit board. You see, we have it here. What kind of switch is this? Ah, This is actually the rec selector. Take a look from this side. Let me show you this very carefully. Right now, indeed. What do you think about this solution? Original, right? Why wasn't it placed in the main unit? It's unclear. The engineers know better. Although, you see, they engineered it to the point that the company no longer exists. It has essentially collapsed. It's bankrupt. But the amplifiers are still alive. Well, let's listen to it, connect it to our KEF speakers, and probably put in a cassette and evaluate the sound. What do you think, friends? And the cherry on top of the listening experience? For this, let's take a cassette, turn on our step-down transformer. It buzzed just right, so we press the button. Listen, it was already pressed. Our oversight. So once more, let's choose our speaker. Let's switch the speaker AB. Now we set everything to 0. Friends, we select tape 2, I think. Did it switch? Yes. Volume. By the way, pay attention to this light bulb, which tells us that... And what does she say? She probably says that it works. Source. Our source is stick. This one is from the present. This one is from the past. And this device is from the present. Pay attention to the quality. Of course, it is somewhat more fragile, but for a cassette deck, that is more than enough. It's already turned on for us as well, friends. We open it, insert it, and let the music play. You have listened to a small fragment. And how does it all sound, friends? The conclusion is, overall, not bad for a little over 30,000 rubles. It's a decent option. What are its competitors? You could take some Russian device, like the Premiera, for example, at the entry level, A1. It will be half the size, but with a better damping factor and more features. You can use it as a player. It has Bluetooth on board. You know, its sound won't be as fundamental, but it will be more, let's say, crisp. Everyone has their preferences. Personally, I'm not a fan of vintage, and devices like these are not for me. Although they definitely have their place. Some people might like this. Well, I would say that, you know, it's a fast, speedy, very direct sound that also, indeed, definitely touches the soul. This is definitely my choice, so Sansui is not my thing. Please write in the comments, enjoy good sound, great songs, watch movies, and stay with us. Thank you for watching the video until the end.